this'll probably be a short video. If you recall, I enjoy the first Scream movie fine, but I do admit it's not really my thing, as slasher movies aren't really my thing. I'm more like something that plays with the genre and the idea in a major way, and Scream just didn't play with it enough. It's a cool idea, I just didn't get into it, but I totally acknowledge it's fine. Scream 2 is also fine. This is honestly exactly what you would expect from a Scream sequel or just a slasher sequel, and in this case both are kind of the same thing, and it could get away with it because it's meta, it's self-satirizing, and okay, it's not going to do it in a super silly way like the scary movies do because it does still want to be a slasher movie, and I respect that. I just don't get that much into it. And everybody always made all these comments about sequels back then, and some of them are still true, some of them have changed a bit, but yeah, the idea is sequels usually aren't as good as the first one, and of course, that's something they talk about here. They talk about how sequels repeat a lot of stuff, and that's what this movie does, and I guess if you reference it, that suddenly makes it smart, I guess. It's kind of a mixed bag, and it's not really my thing, but they created a setup where they're allowed to honor these tropes and cliches. They can just do them straightforward as long as they acknowledge that's what they're doing, and they don't really do anything more than that, but I guess I can't say they do anything less or insulting with it either. Another killer is dressing up like Ghostface, inspired by the events of the last movie, as it, well, actually is a movie in this world now. Stab is the film inspired by the events of the previous movie, and I guess it's done kinda like a schlocky Amityville, Texas Chainsaw, like, it's true but it's not true story. I actually would have liked if they delved into that a little bit more, but I guess we have future movies for that. Sydney is now in college and opens up her introduction probably the best way you could, with someone apparently being the Ghostface killer calling her, but she has caller ID now. And I just remember in the first movie, everybody was like, what, do these people not have caller ID? And it was kind of a new thing back then, and I like just movie 2, they acknowledge that. Nope, there it is, we're addressing it. And I also really like she's used to it. She doesn't really let it get to her. She's like, yeah, I know this comes with the territory. I can either let it get me down or I can fight back in a cool way. And she does that, and it's refreshing. You really expect her to be more like the psychologically scarred victim that's obsessing over the events of the past. And yeah, she does that a little bit like anybody would, but as a character, it is refreshing seeing her right at the top have a pretty stiff upper lip mindset. It makes the character a little bit more interesting. She's got some old friends to hang out with as well as new friends, as, well, a lot of her old friends are dead. And it looks like many of them might not have long for this world either, as you know the drill, Ghostface starts killing them off, trying to get closer to Sydney, while, of course, just tripping and falling over everything. Yeah, Scary Movie really did nail that. So again, it's hard to know what to talk about as so much of this is repeat, but it acknowledges that's what sequels do. I guess the only thing that kind of gets to me is 2 tropes that I don't really care for in these Scream movies. One is they act like all bets are off. It's the sequel, it's the second one, it's the third one, it's the fourth one, whatever. Now we can do whatever we want, and they never do. Only once in a while is there ever a genuine surprise in these movies where they kill off somebody. I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And even then, if you look at the tropes of long-running slasher franchises, they do kind of do this sort of stuff. But yeah, that's also the idea, so I guess we gotta say good job. The other thing, and this is totally just a personal pet peeve, I hate that there's more than one killer. That's something a lot of these movies do, and it drives me nuts. They always set up there's one, but then ends up being like 2 or 3, and like I said, you can do that, it's totally fine. It just gets to me as someone who's usually pretty good at predicting who the killer is, but then they surprise you that there's like 2 or 3 others, and it's like, no, that's not part of the rules, there should be one, I got one of them, damn it, I got one of them, and I should have won. The prize of bragging that I predicted a Scream movie, okay, maybe it's not that great a prize, but I don't know, there's films that have done this well. Something about when Scream does it, it just feels like a cheap shot, and I can't really explain why. It's not major criticism, and again, it could totally just be a personal thing, but something about that always irks me. But yeah, the characters are still likable enough. I do like hearing some of these conversations, like between David Arquette and Jamie Kennedy and Courteney Cox, and actually, I kind of forgot what a time capsule this is for celebrities that were hot at the moment and celebrities that were starting to become hot at the moment, like Jerry O'Connell or Sarah Michelle Gellar or Heather Graham. I also think Laurie Metcalf is criminally underrated, and the fact that she has a pretty major role here is really nice. She's one of those actresses who, it doesn't matter if she's doing comedy or drama or whatever, she always nails it, and she once again handles her role perfectly here. I guess without going to spoilers, I can say there's one or two moments that I can't say were a surprise, but do have you kind of questioning things like, wait, that character died, but I thought this was going on, or I thought this was the rule of slasher movies. And again, they kind of play with the idea of there are rules, but some rules are supposed to be broken in a sequel, but then they kind of go back on it. Like, again, that's what sequels do, and like I said, they're not always my thing, but they do play around with it enough that it did keep my interest. This isn't a film that I put on and just said, oh my god, prepare to be bored for an hour and a half. It does keep me guessing, it does make me want to know how it's all gonna turn out. Even if you have a very, very, very strong idea how that's gonna happen. Outside of that, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's the exact sequel you think you're gonna get, and if you like the first Scream movie, you're gonna like the second Scream movie. It is a little bit of a time capsule, which is fun, but it's also very good at acknowledging tropes of that time, but also acknowledging tropes that are kind of timeless and keep popping up over and over and over. For me, that's just not quite enough. I need more done with it. It's not that it does nothing, it just doesn't do enough for me. But I mean, what are they on now? Like Scream 9? There is definitely an audience for this. It attracts viewers my age, viewers older, viewers younger. I guess people are always going to have a fascination with slasher films, and again, as they go, this isn't bad. It's perfectly serviceable, it's just not something that sucks me in. But if you got to the first one at all, this is a decent follow-up. Check it out and see if the sequel is worth giving a stab at.